Hey, good morning, guys. This video I'm going to make today is for men over 50 who feel stuck, frustrated, inconsistent in their fitness and life progress. Those two kind of go together. If your life feels like chaos right now, it's not because you're out of control. It's because you're choosing it. You're making wrong choices. What it comes down to. You ever wonder why you can't stay consistent? Why you start something and you can never finish it? Here's a truth that's probably going to sting a little bit. It's not because you're confused. You think you're confused and you're blaming other people. It's about you avoiding responsibility. You know, I've made a couple of videos about discipline. Discipline's a decision. This is Mike Norris from Mike Norris Fit. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. Hope you like the video and share it with people that you think need to hear it. Just because you lack discipline doesn't mean life is happening to you. Doesn't mean that. You have been actively choosing your current situation. I've been in that. When I was young, I made terrible decisions for a lot of years, a lot of bad decisions. But the problem is we got retired men now who are still making bad decisions. The men in their 50s making bad decisions, still making bad decisions. So basically your decisions are choosing your current situation. Chaos, procrastination, excuses, they're patterns. Those are patterns that have followed you through your life. They're not accidents. And this isn't about guilt, trying to make you feel guilty. It's about power. Well, it might do some people good to feel guilty. Discipline's a skill. I've said this before. It's not a trait, it's a skill. The first step is always taking ownership. Always taking ownership. You know, in the military, they talked about, when you're in a leadership position, it's your fault. You're taking ownership. Everything's your fault. Unfortunately, the military got away from that. I think we had a lot of leaders that they were looking after their retirement, that big job they were going to get, and they didn't take ownership. Our politicians don't take ownership of anything. They take ownership of nothing. Nothing. Democrats or Republicans, they don't take ownership of anything. This drives me crazy. When I was in the fitness industry, stop calling it trying. I would get people on the phone and talk to them and they say, well, I've tried everything. I might try you. Well, I guess I'll give you a try. Well, I don't know if this is going to work for me. I guess I'll try. At first I was nice. I say, okay, well, that's good. We'll see, what I'm doing works. I know that it works. But in the end, I'm like, you know what? You've already lost. There's no sense in working with me. You've already tried all kind of things. You want to try me? It's not going to work. You're not going to lose any weight. You're not going to get fit. Instead of trying, why don't you say, I'll do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Why don't you make a decision to lose 30, 40, 50 pounds, whatever it is. Make a decision to lose the weight. Don't say, I'm going to try. Try never beat anybody. Except somebody got lucky, and I hate to tell you, but you're not going to get lucky when it comes to fitness and weight loss. It's not like a sport where maybe you get lucky sometimes. You're not going to get lucky with this. You're not going to get lucky. Trying's not the same as making a commitment. Saying, I'm going to do it no matter what. I did that. When I lost 35 pounds, I knew as soon as I looked at myself in the mirror what I was going to do. And I knew the weight was coming off. Regardless of how long it took, I got it off fast because I did a lot of the right things. Half-hearted workouts, diets you quit in 2 or 3 days or a week, routines that fall apart after 3 days, and you didn't fall off. You just chose comfort. I'm not getting up 30 minutes early today. I'm going back to bed. I'm not going to pass up those donuts. I'll eat those donuts today. I think I'm not hungry. I'm going to eat these donuts. You chose comfort. You got to have a change up here. A change up here. And that's not just for, fitness. I mean, it's for your whole life pretty much. You have to make changes. You got to make decisions. Sometimes you got to sit down and think. You might have to think for weeks. Those walks are a great place to do your thinking. You'll be surprised at decisions that you'll make when you're walking. Now, stop telling yourself you're too old, you're too far gone, I'm too fat, I got too bad knees, I'm fat because I got bad knees. No, that's not why you're fat. I've had people tell me this so many times. I'm fat because of this. I'm fat. No, you got it backwards. You got it backwards. You got it backwards. You got the knee problem because you're fat. A lot of, not every problem, but a lot of the problems are because you're overweight. Most diabetics eat way too much sugar. They're overweight. All of these things, I'm going to tell you two quick things that changed everything when I was a weight loss coach. First of all, I had a guy, I just talked to him on the phone a couple times. He sent me a message, and he said, man, I'm so-and-so. I'm lost both of my legs in Afghanistan. He said, and I'm starting to put weight on in my stomach, but I want to, I'm working out, I'm doing things, I want to get in better shape. If you've got any ideas for me, what can I do? I was like, wow. I was like, then I asked him the basic things. Are you down on the floor doing some push-ups and all that? Yeah. I said, you know what? I've never worked with anybody who didn't have their legs. I said, can I think about this and talk to you tomorrow? I said, let me think this over. And so I called him the next day and said, man, I thought about this. I've got a couple things. I said, do you have dumbbells? Do you have bands? And I said, okay. Are you doing this? Are you doing that? I said, well, what about your eating? And we went over his eating, and I gave him some tips for things that you might want to do. You might want to start taking in a little more protein or doing this. I just gave him some tips, and in the end, I didn't work with him or anything like that. I wasn't trying to work with him. I was trying to help him. And he said, man, thanks. You did give me some good ideas. He said, if I have any other questions, can I text you? I'm like, sure. The other story, I had a lady, been in a wheelchair her whole life. Couldn't walk, never walked in her life, a wheelchair or crutches. And I'd been trying to help her and talking a lot about eating and stuff like that. But she, like this guy, she wanted to exercise. And she told me, I said, well, what do you do? I mean, it's going to be really hard for you to get much exercise. I said, you're going to have to get the weight down with your diet. And she said, yeah, but I need to get some exercise. She said, I get out of my wheelchair and I roll around on the floor. I'm like, okay. I was like, how long you roll? She said, an hour. I'm like, what? We're on the phone. If you could have seen my expression. She said, I roll around on the floor for an hour. I pull myself up on the couch with my arms. I do different little things like that, but I'll get down on the floor and just roll around and try to stretch my body and do things for an hour. I was blown away. So a guy in Afghanistan that loses both of his legs, and he's trying to figure out how to get better. A 64-year-old woman that's been in a wheelchair her whole life, and she's rolling around on the floor trying to improve herself. And we got people, grown men, 55, 60, 65 years old, that aren't willing to get up 30 minutes early to go for a walk. If they can't get it in the middle of the day, which I don't really understand if you're retired. I know retired people often are not retired. When I retired from the military, people say, you retired. No, I'm doing weight loss and fitness, and that takes up a ton of hours. But you got to get some discipline. You got to get some pride. Get some pride. Pride's often like a wall between you and the results you want. I don't want to go to the gym yet. I'll be embarrassed to do this. I don't want to go out and do this in public. Hey, you got to let your ego go. If you have to hire somebody, you go to the gym and hire somebody. Why be embarrassed that you haven't been to a gym in 40 years and you don't know how to use the equipment? you want somebody to help you so you don't get hurt. Don't be embarrassed. Because I'll tell you what you don't need. You don't need more supplements. If you've been taking all kind of supplements, which 95% of the supplements out there are doing nothing for you. You don't need a new supplement. You don't need a new plan. You just need a decision to take the action. And I say all the time, that's what I did. When I looked at myself in the mirror, I took action immediately. That night, I took action. And in a little over a month, I had lost 35 pounds. I got after it, to say the least. There are a million plans out there. People used to tell me, I want a diet plan. I need a diet plan. I had women all the time. They wanted diet plans. I said, have you thought about Googling one? You can get it for free. Because there's people that charge you $200 to $500 for a diet plan. You can Google it, get it free. Use ChatGPT. You can get a good diet plan for free. So I actually had a couple diet plans on PDF. I just sent it to them. I'm like, you're not going to lose weight with this. I mean, this is going to help you. But I knew that when people got that, when that's all they wanted, diet plan, they weren't going to do anything. They weren't going to do anything with it when they got it. And I had the workout plans. I said, go down and buy a Muscle Fitness magazine or one of the fitness magazines. They got all kind of plans in there. It doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you start doing something and do it day after day after day. So, life is not out of your hands. You just haven't been gripping the wheel. You haven't taken charge. You got to grip the wheel and take charge of your life sometime. If you're a man over 50 years old, you need to be doing that. Now, here's a weird thing. There are men who really grip the wheel in their professional life, but they let their personal life and their fitness just go. Well, it's time for you to grip that now, the wheel, and take charge of it before you're too old and you lose it. You're never really too old, but hey, when you get in bad health and you get really old, if you're over 50 years of age, every day, every month, you're getting closer and closer to the end. And if you're not doing anything and you're overweight, you're diabetic, or you're just terrible health, both of these things are moving in. You're moving more towards the end, and the end's getting closer to you, where if you start doing something, you can move that end out. So research shows it, guys. If you start doing stuff, you'll be surprised the time that you can add to your life. Anything can happen. You can get hit by a car, you could have a heart attack along the way, but those things just happen. But every day is a chance now for you to start over. Start working on your health, your strength, get clarity, or you can go further into frustration and just be frustrated until the day you die. That's just the way it is. So I want you to own your mornings. I want you to own your meals. I want you to own your movement. I want you to own your strength training. And progress starts with responsibility, not motivation. You need the discipline, and own those things. Own those mornings, own your meals, own your movement, and own your resistance training / strength training, whatever you want to call it, or weightlifting. But a lot of you can do resistance training, strength training without doing weight training. So you're not out of control. You're not doomed. You're just avoiding the responsibility of leadership of your own life. And some of you have been in leadership positions in the civilian world, in your business, you own a business, or in the military. But you got to be responsible for your life now. It's time to think about you and your life. And people are depending on you. Your wife's depending on you. Your daughters are depending on you. Your grandchildren. There's a lot of people depending on you. And so you got to take the bull by the horns and get after it. So guys, I'm just asking you, what you going to do tomorrow morning? You going to choose structure and discipline, or are you going to repeat and just stay in the same old cycle and move where you are closer to your last days because you're not doing anything to help yourself stay around longer? So leave me a comment below, share this if it hit home. Leave a comment about what you're going to start doing tomorrow morning. Are you going to pick structure, or are you just going to dally around and stay in the cycle you're in? And for the ones of you that are following my advice and getting out there and getting after it, thumbs up. Give the video a like. Maybe you hate what I just said. Put it in the comments. Anyway, I will talk to you tomorrow with my next video. Talk to you later.